All right, we might be live. Let's see. Did it work? All right. Well, if it did, hello everybody and welcome. Sorry, I had a little bit of a hiccup there getting set up like usual. Still trying to get used to this new setup, but I actually really like it. So if you can hear me, just let me know in chat real quick that everything is sounding good and working and that I'm not talking through a microphone that's on the floor or something. Seems like it's looking right. Yeah. All right, perfect. Good. We're live and we are ready to go. So there were a couple questions that I had in chat and they all disappeared. I really apologize if you remember what your question was. Could you just go ahead and type that out again? And I'll start popping through them in just a second. Today I just wanted to talk about game development jobs, the different things that are out there. They got a video coming out about that later on today. It's linked down below. You can go queue it up and get in there, hit the thumbs up button beforehand so everybody jumps in the premiere. I'm going to join and watch it and just kind of chat along. I'm kind of curious to see what things I missed, what stuff I didn't talk about. I'm sure there's plenty. And if anybody has just other suggestions or things that they want to share or just talk about while that thing is going on. I've never done it before. We're actually going to like watch and sit and chat with everybody as the video is going. So I'm just curious to see what that's like. I'm going to pop up a question here. I'm not going to start answering them just yet. I just wanted to get it up there since it was one of the ones that I remembered from before. And I'm going to change the graphics for this because that is really huge. How do you change it? I don't know. Yeah, okay. I guess I'm going to leave the graphics for it for now. Um, so let's see. What else did I want to? Oh yeah, we'll go with that. What else did I want to talk about today? Just to give a real quick overview. Oh, stuff that I'm going to be doing, the new stuff that's going to be coming for the channel and everybody else, and then a little bit on doing somewhat of a more regular show on just game development stuff with other game developers talking about it, and yeah, just giving people something to do and listen to, and hopefully gain some info from along the way. I think that's about it. So I'm gonna take a drink of my freshly cracked Rockstar, and then we'll get started. So there was a question. Like I said, I asked for questions right before this, so I could just take them real quick. So it was what makes a good portfolio, or what makes a portfolio stand out? And this is something I've talked about quite a bit, so I don't want to go too long on it. But essentially, with a portfolio, and a portfolio for anybody that doesn't know is just like the thing that you're going to share with people if you want to go out there and actually get a game dev job, since I guess we're talking about different game dev jobs. By getting a game dev job, it's the thing that you would like put up online and share with everybody or share with potential employers so that they can see what your work is like and how you are as a developer, like what you can do, what you can accomplish, and really what you bring to the table, what you can offer to the company. Because I mean, really, when you get hired, you're getting hired because you're going to bring some value to the company. You're going to do something cool there that's going to make the game better and make the company better, or just make things better. So what you want to be doing is focusing on and showing the things that you are going to be making better. If you have a really good specialty in something, then focusing and highlighting on that specialty is important, especially like for an artist. If you're a great 3D character artist, like don't show your landscapes and stuff that aren't as great. Show your 3D character art stuff that's great. If you're a programmer, well, the first thing is don't show all. I guess I've said this enough times. Don't show all of your stuff. Show your best stuff. Put like the one or two best things that you have forward. Explain in a bit what they are, but also make them really approachable so that people don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure out if your portfolio is good. What I really recommend is go with something simple that people can actually play and that they can play and have fun with in under a minute, where they can get in, enjoy it in under a minute. It's not buggy, doesn't crash, has some pretty graphics. Even if you're not an artist, you can find some visuals and polish it up and just feels good. Give them something like that that's simple. It doesn't require them to read a lot, and that'll help more than just about anything else that I've seen. All right, let me see what other questions there were. So there's a question about the. Did I watch that already? There's a question about the game dev job video. Yeah, so there was a. I released the video for just a few minutes yesterday. There were a couple things in it I wanted to change up and fix and improve. So we made those changes and redid it. And now we're gonna just go watch it live in a little bit together. So let's see. there was another question about learning things, and this is, I think, something that's pretty important. And it's yeah, I want to talk about it for a second. So the question is, how do you approach learning something new? In what order do you do things in? Do you read the docs and make notes? Go straight to Google? What order do you work in? For me, it might be a little bit different than normal people. I don't really know. Um, I'm not sure if this works for everybody, but what I like to do when I want to learn about something new is first I'll find usually a couple videos on the subject. So if it's like, say I wanted to learn about the latest dots technology or the latest dots updates, I'll watch a couple videos on it that are kind of high level about it. Then I'll watch a couple more technical videos about it, then I'll open up a project and start playing with it. So whatever it is, maybe like for instance, one of the things was animation rigging, the new animation rigging system that came out. First thing I did, watch a couple videos that kind of highlight and explain what the system is and what you can do with it. Like I watched the Brackeys one on that; it was really good. Really polished and gives kind of like an overview of what I should expect from the system or what I should expect to learn about and all of the things I need to learn about. And then I'd watched a couple more videos that were kind of that level where they focused on one or two things and showed like a big overview of what you could do, and then started watching some more technical videos on the details of it. Unfortunately, there weren't a lot of those, so I eventually or pretty quickly dove into just starting with a project and going through the examples. I usually don't start with the documentation just because it's often out of date or wrong. And it's also not as easy for me to follow as a video personally. But I will, of course, jump over to the documentation as soon as I'm at that part where I'm writing the code and actually trying the thing out. So I'll open up a project, start trying it out, and then open up the docs and go through that at the same time. If the docs are good, I'll spend a good amount of time there. If they're not good, then I will just use them slightly as reference because a lot that's it's about 50-50 on those. Yeah, and that's about it. So let's see what other questions were there. Is it worth learning C++? Um, I would say so. I mean, if a C++ is something that you wanna work in and there are projects that you would like to do that are C++ based, then definitely. I mean, C++ is gonna be around, I think, for a long time still. I mean, probably longer than any other code language. It wouldn't surprise me if it outlives every other language just because it has so far pretty much, right? And it's got a lot of use and it's really powerful. So if you're interested in C++ and there are projects you want to do in C++, yes. If what you really want to do is build games in Unity, then no. But if you want to build games in Unreal, then learning C++ again is still valuable. So there's no downside to learning it, but if you're not going to use it, I wouldn't necessarily spend the time in it. So if you're going to spend all of your time doing web development and C sharp stuff, then spending very much time learning C++ is probably not worthwhile. It's still worthwhile, I'd say, to get like a week's worth of experience at least, so that you have an understanding of what the terms are, somewhat of what the differences are in a real world sense. But I wouldn't spend too much time diving into it if you don't plan to use it anytime soon, because it'll change and your understanding of it will drift away if you don't use it. So whatever you're learning, make sure that it's something that you're actually going to use too. I think that kind of applies to everything, not just C++. Let's see what else we got here. Do you think that a programmer job is easier to get compared to sales and okay, project management and in IT? Okay, I got 10 years of project management in IT, but I want to relocate from Russia. And I see your programmer got a lot more chances. Yes. Well, I mean, this is again very biased because as a programmer, like it's more of what I see. But I think that the competition for programmer jobs is a lot lower. There are a lot of people who want to be project managers or do sales type stuff, and it's pretty easy, at least in the U.S., to get a degree doing that. There's million, tons of colleges, tons of places where you can get a degree that says you're a project manager, and then you're just competing against all of those people unless you have some experience that kind of shows it off and really shows like you did something awesome on some project. It can get kind of hard to get into there. As a programmer, though, it's a lot easier to, I guess, show your work and show your value before you're hired. And I guess that's one of the reasons that I think programmer jobs are easier to get if you're qualified for them because it's very easy to show your work. I think that showing your work on these other ones and showing like what you can do is quite a bit harder. And then just the competition is just dramatically lower for programmers. Like, there are a lot more programmer jobs than programmers still. So there's always openings everywhere, at least everywhere that I've seen and been. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, okay. This is a great one. I want to talk about this. Any advice in what I can do as a high school student wanting to go into game dev? Currently in game dev 2, making my third game, which is my second 3D game in Unity. Um, yes. So, oh man, I like this one. So if you're in high school and you're starting to make games, it's perfect. I wish I'd been able to start much younger. I mean, I kind of got to play around a little bit, but not anywhere near to the level of what you can do now. So if you're in high school and you're building games, I mean, the first thing is don't stop. Right, keep building games constantly, even though a lot of them are going to suck and a lot of them are going to fail. Eventually, if you start young enough and you just push hard enough, you're going to probably release some awesome stuff. A lot of the best game developers have seen release stuff when they were in their early teen or late teens, early 20s, but they've been working on stuff ever since high school. They're just constantly building things up. So what would I recommend? I guess the number one thing is don't only build games for class, right? Like whatever the class is doing is cool. Work on that stuff too. Have your own projects that are going on completely independent and have it be things that you actually are driven and interested in working on and building. The class will generally be slower than the fastest students. I mean, they're always going to be slower than the fastest students. So if you really want to push ahead and get ahead, I think you're gonna wanna do a lot more and you're gonna wanna work a lot faster than the average student in your class. And I mean, if you're watching streams on game development stuff, you're probably a little bit more interested in it than everybody in there at least. Um, so I would say start your own projects, build them up, and even if you're interested in it, even possibly find another schoolmate or a partner there that you can work with on a project together. Obviously, number one thing, like make sure that they're actually interested in working on it. That you don't, it's not, you don't want to work on something with somebody that you got to kind of push them, um, and make sure that they're nice and fun to work with. Otherwise, do it yourself is totally fine. But I find that sometimes working with a partner or having like a teammate on a project can be beneficial just to kind of push back and forth and give a little bit of inspiration. But the most important thing is to just keep building more projects on the side outside of school. I mean, the school project should be a tiny portion of your actual game development. Do a lot of it at home, and I mean, by the time you graduate high school, you can get it. I mean, there's no reason there are lots of reasons, but it is definitely possible for a high school student to graduate and then get hired as a game developer. If they can write the code, they can do the job. It totally happens. I've done it before. I've hired like fresh out of high school students who were able to write code and build games, and now they're just amazing programmers that just went straight from there. They spent their time coding, and that's what they did. That's what they loved, and build cool games. And yeah, just keep making games. Don't stop. And definitely don't limit yourself to just what the class is doing. Build your own stuff outside of that nonstop and start sharing that stuff. Put that stuff out there, join some communities, and start talking to people regularly about game development. There are a lot of other people out there in the same boat as you that you can learn from and just kind of collaborate with and bounce ideas off of. All right, I'm going to take a breath, shut up for a second, take a drink, and see what other questions we got here. There are a lot of them up here. All right. James had a question. Is ageism a thing in game dev? Um, I just wanted to answer this quickly because I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen it personally. I can't think of a scenario where that's happened, but maybe I'm just like the old guy, so I'm oblivious to it, and I don't see that it's happening and going on. I mean, I'm sure it probably happens everywhere, but I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't. Sorry, I don't have a better answer for you. I don't know if anybody else has any insights, or thoughts into that. Like I said, it hasn't been something that I've seen personally. Let's see. Unfortunately, I got no idea about jobs in the EU, so I can't answer that one. Can you do another tutorial for 3D? Yes, I'm actually building a big long tutorial. It'll probably be like 3 to 5 hours, like a straight beginner tutorial for 3D content, to how to make a 3D game, start to finish, and then that'll just be a big long YouTube video, and then maybe just as a free course too. And then I've got a big update for coursework stuff that's all on 3D stuff too. I'm gonna talk about that right now, though. Let's see what else we got here. Can you start a game? Okay, this one I like. This is a good one. Can you start a game as a game programmer and then later transition to a more creative role like game designer slash game producer? Or is it better to start out as a game designer? I love this question because that was my plan. That was my entire thought. I wanted to do game design when I started in the game industry. Like, I really want to do game design stuff. I just want to make, boss fights and all kinds of cool combat stuff. Like, I had all these things I want to try. Um, and I'd write up all these design docs and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I want to do it. So I was like, all right, well, I tried to get some game design jobs and never really went anywhere because it's hard to compete. That they didn't pay very much at all, and I was not qualified because I couldn't really show anything. But I kind of knew how to code a little bit. So I mean, I didn't know how to code games, but I knew how to code crappy games like on my own that nobody would ever want to play. And I knew how to code a little bit of stuff. So I figured, well, if I can get in through the code side, that works. And I stumbled in not so much through code, but through the QA side of code. So writing tools for the QA department. I was like, all right, cool. This gets me in. And I was like, well, from here, I will jump over to being a game designer, right? I'll do some tools for the QA department. And then just move over to game design and however long it takes to make that jump, right? Um, got laid off like 3 weeks later, which was an interesting story in its own. Like, got hired, moved, and then got laid off like 3 weeks later. But when I got laid off, they let me know they were going to rehire me to work in the programming department. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I was going to just do kind of the same thing, but a little bit more in doing tool stuff for the programmers and the designers and stuff too, not just for the QA team. Anyway, from there, I was like, okay, I'll do that for a little while, and then I'll switch over to be a designer, right? I started working on it. And I was like having a lot of fun with it. I was like, this is a blast. Like, I kind of like making these things. I can make a lot of cool stuff, and every now and then, like, I can tell designers, hey, why don't we have it like this? And they'll make the thing, and it just kind of shows up like I suggested. Not often, but every now and then when I had something I wanted to, kind of push for, that would happen. Um, so, anyways, I'm going through as a tools programmer for a while and looking at what the designers are doing and what the programmers are doing. And the designers' work, to be honest, like, it seemed kind of tedious, and a lot of the stuff that I was doing was trying to make the designers' work less tedious, especially the content stuff and the putting content into the game. So as a tools programmer, I was doing a lot of work to make it easier for them to put things into the game. And that part seemed a little tedious. And I'd also just seen a bunch of them get laid off and none of the programmers get laid off in a big layoff. And then I started talking to people about salaries and things and realized that I was getting paid more as a brand new tools developer than a lot of designers because designers just don't get paid very well. And as it kind of kept going on, I started slowly doing a little bit more programming work and still having the ability to have some design input whenever I wanted to. As I kind of obviously, I also made really good friends with some of the designers. They're really cool guys, and it made it easier for me to kind of recommend ideas and stuff and get those pushed through. But it also, I quickly realized that programming was a little bit more fun. I had a lot more job stability, a lot more pay, and I had the power to kind of like make things happen with a designer, with the design role. At least a lot of the time, what I've seen is like, you can request things and make the the design for what it is that you want, but without being able to implement it yourself, you still feel a little bit powerless. Like, it's very hard to do it, and you're sitting there like waiting on a programmer to say, okay, we can actually make this happen, and then waiting on the programmer to actually make it happen. So it's yeah, it made me realize that being a programmer was Not just more fun for me, but just better all around. I don't know. Plus, it gave me the ability to just go home and make games on my own. Once I started getting better at code, writing game code and stuff, I was able to just go home and, like, I'd see other programmers that were senior there just go home and, like, whip out a game overnight, and I'm like, "What the hell? How'd you do that? Please show me. Please teach me. How does this all work? What are you doing? Like, teach me your magic." And it worked out great. Learned a little bit from them and yeah, had a blast. I'm gonna shut up on that now. Let's see what else we got here. Can you do a tower defense game in 2D? Maybe. It's been a long time since I built a tower defense game. I don't know if I'll do one soon. But I might. I've always wanted to do one like in VR, so maybe that'd be like a fun Quest game to build, like a tower defense game for the Quest. 'Cause I want to do a VR video soon or sometime soon. So maybe I'll kind of mix those up and do them together. That'd actually be kind of fun, like a VR tower defense game. Maybe do something that's like a VR tower defense game where you have to like defend the whole house, like set up towers. Oh, yeah. I wonder if that would work. I have to look into it. But then it's got that camera. I haven't played with it enough yet. Okay, what else we got here? Okay. Can you answer my question about databases in Unity games? What's the most powerful API? Is it better to use Firebase or programming my own server? Um, If you're not sure right now, I would go with using a service that's not setting up your own server. I've set up my own servers a bunch of times in the past. It's always, almost always, more effort than it's worth, and the payoff doesn't usually exist. A lot of the time, the thought with the payoff is that we're going to save money in the long run, but you can always switch to hosting your own stuff and change your system up if it gets too expensive using one of the hosted services. I don't know the last time I tried Firebase. I did play with PlayFab recently, and it worked pretty well for holding stuff, and it was super simple to use. I assume Firebase is the same, but like it's been a very long time since I used it, so I don't really recall. If anybody in chat happens to have any other recommendations, though, for like a useful remote, it sounds like this is like a remote API setup for saving data. Feel free to share it too, and just let them know. See what else we got. Let's see. Scrolling down, we got a lot of stuff in the chat here. What if I turn on the chat window? What that's going to be like? Put my stars up. Oh, something went wrong. Okay, I guess it's not going to show the chat. Okay, whatever. We'll figure that out next time. So watch. Trying to find some good questions here, or some questions in general. How's everybody doing out there? By the way, if you don't mind hitting the thumbs up button while I scroll through here, that'd be awesome. Um, I'll answer this one really quick. How do you showcase our portfolio as a Unity game dev? I highly recommend create a new website. Just make your own site. Use WordPress or something else on a hosted thing where you don't have to deal with it. Keep it cheap, and then embed whatever games you have um, onto that page. So give a description with a thing, a button so that they can click to start playing it, and let them play it. Make a WebGL version of it that you can embed right in there. You can use itch.io or Rocco's Simmer.io is the one that I always use, and just embed it right into the page. Let people play and give a little description, not a long description. Don't make them download a document or anything else. Just make it really easy and approachable so they can see like your best project or your two best projects right there on the screen. Click the one that they want to try out, see what it is, how you built it, maybe a paragraph about what it is, how you built it, and then actually play the game and make sure that they can get into it, have fun with the entire game in under a minute. That's my recommendation for ideal, at least. Let's see. Are studies is a study needed for starting an indie game company? I think the only thing you need to start an indie company is money and time to build your game. There's really not much else to it. Being having a successful indie company is a whole lot different. That's something I don't feel super qualified on giving. I never wanted to start a game company of my own. It seems like a lot of work managing a lot of people and a lot of stress. So not my kind of thing, but um, I don't know. I don't know anything else about that one. Sorry. What else we got here? Okay, here. So when a company asks you, show me some code you're proud of, how would you show it? Well, it depends. If it's something that you can show visually along with the code, like what it's actually doing and what the code looks like, I would maybe put together a quick little video clip that shows like, hey, this code doing this thing in the game, whatever it is. Maybe it's the control system, maybe it's doing something cool with the camera, maybe it's something cool with the networking. Maybe your network layer is handling 20,000 entities moving around and you did something cool there. Show that part of the code, but also show a little video of what it's actually doing. Give a little demo, or even let them play the thing if it's possible, so they can play the piece of the game that has the code in it that you think is really cool, and then show it off. Now, how you would actually share it, I would just use like a gist. They use like gist.github.com, create one of all of the different files and do it that way. You can obviously give them your project and all of the code with it, but if it's hard to find in there, that may not be the best thing. You might want to do both, give them the gist and then give them the zip. Um, or a lot of times when this happens, you'll be on a call and they'll want to see it. So in that case, I would show the code and demo what it actually does if you can, like on a live call, on a Zoom call, or in person, however it is you're doing it. Let's see. How do I level up as a programmer? How do I advance to a higher level? Number one thing, show people your code and ask for feedback, and don't get mad when they tell you all the problems. So when you start showing other people your actual code, what it looks like, and you start getting feedback from them about like what you should change on it and what's wrong with it, you got really two options. You can either get defensive about it and say like, "That's stupid, that's wrong, I don't like it," or check it out and see if they actually have a good point. Now, a lot of the time, probably 50% of the time, people are gonna give you bad advice and they say, "That's terrible, whatever, you should do something else." And that thing is bad. So don't always just assume that it's right, but always, I would say, get the advice from multiple people and see what the consensus is, and then go with that. So, or if you have somebody that you really trust to get the advice from, then go with that. But don't always also just don't obviously just blindly jump into whatever one person says or something. So the biggest thing though, really, I mean, honestly, the biggest thing there is sharing your actual code, letting people see it, letting people see it who are going to judge it and criticize it, and have advice on how to make it better. But also ask them, say, "Hey, I don't think this is perfect. How would you make this better?" It's literally been like the best thing I've ever done for making my code better was asking friends this question, asking friends and coworkers, "Hey, I need to do this thing. I've got this code like this, and I really don't know how to get it to work. Like, I'm not sure what I should do. How would you change this?" And the best answer is like, "I would totally change this thing. I would restructure all of it. Check this out, this out, this out, and this out," and then I would go do it, and things would get better. Um, Slow process, but huge, huge improvements. So yeah, I guess that's it. Right, level up that way. Now as for just like direct, like actionable advice for right now, I would say check out design pattern type videos. They tend to be interesting and kind of eye opening. If you look at just different, oh sorry, my hair's like popping right up there like a weirdo. Um, I've done a couple videos on just design patterns in the game development in general. Where we talk about like just how to use different design patterns in game development. But also, I really like just the old school programming and TDD and game architecture and craftsmanship type videos. You search for software craftsmanship on YouTube, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff there too. And I find that like those things, they don't directly apply, but they get my mind kind of going towards better code and opening up to more ideas and stuff. So just a little bit of slightly actionable advice. But most important thing, share your stuff with other people. All right, let's see what else we got. Yep, the lights do react to the voice. I got them put on voice mode right now. So anybody that's curious what they are, because people ask about them all the time, they're the nano leaf canvas lights, and I can twist this little thing to turn them all the way down like that, so that they're not on at all, and twist it all the way here to turn them back on. I can switch it over to, let's see, where is it? Number 5. Make them start going all weird and sparkly and crazy. And it's this little nano leaf remote. You just use this, switch it, the number that you put up, it's kind of out of focus. Whatever number is facing up is the mode that it's on, and you set up the modes in the phone. And I think that was mode 11 that was voice activated. I just thought was kind of cool. As I'm talking, it just kind of bounce up and down. So if anybody's curious about those, yeah, they're just nano leaf canvases. I thought they were pretty cool. I got some here and some over there, and yeah, I don't know. I like weird, crazy lights. One of these days, I'll do a video and go over some of the different weird, crazy light stuff and things back there, like this little robot dude and all the other random stuff. That little thing I got right there that you can barely just see. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about all that stuff at a different time or whenever people care about it. Let's see if there are other questions, though. I don't want to miss those. Okay. If your goal is AAA, it's still highly dominated by C++. Yes. And in that case, I would say if your goal is to work at any specific place, figure out exactly what they're using, what engine they're using, what languages they're using, what they plan to use in the future, and learn that. Don't learn other things because really, the faster people can be productive on your team, the more likely you are to hire them. If the person already knows your workflow, knows your engine, and understands things, they've got a huge leg up on everybody else. All right, let's scroll down a little bit more. What else we got here? More about portfolios. We talked about that a bit earlier, though, so here, just go back and watch it. Let's see what else. This is interesting. So, is it worth it to do more programming study or to program my own projects when I already know most of the stuff I could learn in study? Program your own projects. And what is the option that's better to get jobs started later? So get jobs later. So, when it comes to, like, trying to decide how much you should study versus how much you should code, I mean, generally, you should be writing a lot of code, but you should also understand what the code is. I would recommend, especially if you're starting out, spend at least an hour a day learning something new from a new source. If you're not learning anything from the studying, then you're studying the wrong thing, so study something else. But spend at least an hour a day learning something new, and then jump into, development and actually trying out that new thing. Either you're trying out that new thing or something else new that you've learned recently and actually implementing it, seeing what it's like to use it in real life and kind of understanding it. Because learning something and never using it, it kind of only gets you halfway there. You're not going to really understand the pitfalls, the downsides, and the actual implementation for things. So yeah, mix it up, but definitely spend at least an hour a day, I would say, learning something new. Generally, like, start of the day or, like, block out an hour a day if you can for when you're gonna learn a new thing. And that could come from just watching videos or, reading blog posts or reading documents or whatever it is, going through a book, whatever the thing you have. Let's see. What else we got here? Is coffee good for your soul? Probably not. I was talking to my wife about that yesterday. It's, coffee's bad for your soul, so you gotta stick with the low calorie rock stars. Although on these ones, for some reason, they recently doubled the calorie count. Check it out. The zeros went from 10 calories to 20 calories. You're still 0. The top changed, but, yeah, the price went up and the calories, went up too. I don't know, I guess they charge more for the extra calories, but let's see. So, yeah, no, I used to drink a lot of coffee, though, and then, started getting to me. There's also a lot of calories in coffee. I'd get like a Starbucks and it'd be 600, 700 calories, and then drink that and a couple more things, and it added a lot of weight. So the second I stopped drinking coffee, second I stopped drinking calories. I think I mentioned this before. I did a video and I dropped like 60 pounds in like 3 months just from cutting cutting calories out of liquids for the most part, or reducing it down. So keeping it like under 200 calories in drinks a day. Occasional milkshake there. Oh, whoops. Don't wanna leave the site and break the stream. I almost hit that button. Yeah, I mean, it's still obviously occasional milkshake. I mean, I had ice cream milkshake yesterday, and I don't eat healthy or anything, but literally cutting out drinks, huge, huge difference. Best recommendation I got. Stop drinking calories. Alright, what else we got for questions here? 1 minute. Let's see. Would you consider hosting your own game jam? Probably not, because I think I would do a terrible job at it. I've thought about it before, but I don't think that, I'm very good at managing events and projects like that. So I probably wouldn't do it. But maybe, I don't know. If somebody else wanted to do it, I'd be happy to like, maybe jump in and help or do something cool with it, but I don't think that I yeah, I think I'm terrible at managing that kinda stuff. I don't know how you guys are at that, like, seems like a huge task when I think about, like, you get all these submissions, you gotta go through them all, check them all out, rate them, compare which yeah, like, even judging things is difficult for me. Being a judge at a couple events, like, "Oh, man, this is stressful." Like, how do I pick which one's the best? They're all so different. So, I don't know. Maybe one day, or maybe I'll jump into one sometime. Let's see. How do you create peer-to-peer networking and unity? Um, I'm not sure what the best. So here was the question. Let me pull it up. How do you create a peer-to-peer networking solution in Unity? Seeing Mirror doesn't support Yarrow. Mirror isn't really made for that. I don't know what I would. Well, actually, I guess you could use Mirror and just set it up as a server on there, I think. Yeah, as a host slash client, you could do it that way. I mean, that's probably what I would start with. I don't know if there's something else I would jump into other than that. If somebody has a recommendation, though, let me know. I plan on doing some networking videos really soon. Mirror is the main thing I want to focus in there. As soon as I finish up this coursework, that's next on my list. But yeah, if anybody has recommendations for something else too in chat, just yeah, go and let them know because I'd be curious and I'd like to check them out too. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, people saying that. Yeah, I'm gonna click down to the bottom because there's so many questions. Oh, hey, Infinity PBR. Check that out. All right, not having a day job. How's it going, man? By the way, one of the things I wanted to talk about is that I plan on doing a bunch of streams, going forward. So be doing streams like I don't know, not daily, but multiple times a week, and having people on the streams as well. So a lot of people. Charles is going to be on again Sunday, and I think we're going to be on regularly on Sundays, and a couple other people that are going to come on regular. Jason Story as well. But I also there were a lot of other people who were interested in hopping on and talking to people and just talking about game dev stuff. So I'm gonna make some official way to get people in. Get it all figured out because there's a lot of people there, and I don't want to lose track of who was interested and stuff. But when I saw your name pop up, I thought, hey, that'd be good. Maybe if you'd be interested in hopping in a stream, just talk about game art and stuff sometime, or anybody, you guys got recommendations for somebody else you think would be fun to talk to. That'd be cool too. Also, before I forget, to get a stream kicking off, or not a stream, premiere kicking off in what is it, 8 minutes? Let me double check that and make sure that I've got that right. And then I'll jump into some more questions here. Let's see. Have you seen Temtem? I have not, but I'm gonna check it out. Temtem on Steam. Let's see. Huh? I'll check it out. So the question was, can it be built in Unity by a small team? Let's see what it looks like first. Watching through the trailer. Feel like I should be sharing that. Let's see. How do I do? Let's share screen. We'll share that. Pop it up here. Okay. So, I mean, it looks like there's quite a bit to the game, but it's not. It's got a lot of cool movement mechanics. Let's see. Run around. Powering up. Okay. I'm playing it without audio, so I would say, yeah. I mean, that's. I don't know how long that thing took to build. I'm gonna guess a couple years of development with a reasonable sized team of maybe like 3 to 4 people could probably build that, but I don't know the full scope of that. I mean, it might be huge, and I'm just missing it too. There could be a lot of other stuff going on in there, but it seems like there wasn't a whole lot that was overwhelming. The art style, I think, makes it not too difficult to build up a decent sized world and have good looking graphics that perform really well. I think they definitely have a really cool art style and probably some really good graphics programming or just good art director or artist running the thing. But yeah, it's definitely the kind of thing you could build in Unity with I mean, from what I can see, again, I have not played the game. I have only seen it. Oh, okay, it looks like it's hold on. Let me read this a little bit more because I might be full of crap here after reading the description. So let's see. Feature collection adventure. Seek the lovely archipelago alongside your squad. Catch every tempter. Okay, I would say a bit more difficult. It's an MMO. Okay, I totally missed this. Ignore everything I said in the last 5 minutes. This would you could build this with a small team. If you have a small team that has built MMOs before, has experience in this, and yes, then you could build this. If you have a small team that has never built an MMO before and is new to game development, these reviews are not going to be very positive. They're going to be all negative or mostly negative. You're going to end up with a game that runs like crap, performs like crap, and has all kinds of problems. Building an MMO with all of this stuff, even just an MMO in general, requires a good amount of planning and a good amount of understanding to get the performance right. And if it's your first game that you're building up like this, it would be and definitely not what I would recommend. If this was a single player game, like I was thinking in that video, then yes. If it was multiplayer, I would say no. If it's MMO, I would say it's probably way too difficult. Okay, here, let's go on. Looks like we got a super chat here. Let's check it out. I'm in my own bubble. How can I burst that bubble? Who and where can I share code? Making a turn-based strategy game, and I keep finding myself having to code game rules and hard to iterate play. Oh, okay, that's a good question. So, trying to actually find people to share code with. The first thing is obviously Discord. I think people will mention it. I've got a Discord server that's up. There are a lot of other game dev Discord servers. Bracky's one. Infallible Code Charles has one that I know is super active, and there's tons of Discord servers out there. I would recommend hopping into some of them and seeing if you can find some active chats in there where there are people who would be interested in looking at your stuff and reviewing it a little bit. You can also just kind of start asking around and see, like publicly asking people like, I mean, I might be willing to take a look at it when I get some time and maybe share it on here and get you some feedback. Could be interesting. Got a lot of stuff going on right now, but if you can find some time, be interesting. And I know that a couple other people on YouTube like to do that as well, where they'll just go through people's code, review the code, talk about what it looks like, how it could improve, what they would do differently, or what they really like about it, and maybe give you some tips on how to fix that iteration process. Also, send me an email. Just shoot me an email, and I've got a group I want to send you some info about that might be useful too. So just email me directly, and I'll send that back over to you. Looks like that video is about to kick off in just. Whoops. I got to make myself big when I'm talking, huh? Sitting there like tiny, just talking to myself. Okay. Just checking on the stream or the premiere that's supposed to kick off in a second. So that one's in, I think, just like 2 minutes. Let me see. Oh, good. I just got somebody on for Sunday. So Sunday we'll have a stream, and it looks like Salim is going to be there too. All right. So the premiere kicks off in. Let me see. I got to make sure I got my times right. Oh, okay, I totally messed it up. It's set to premiere in 24 hours. Let's fix that. Somehow I missed the start date. We're gonna set it for today, and I'm gonna kick it off for like another 15 minutes so we can hang out a little bit more and chat and see what else is going on. We'll go to 10:45. There we go. So everybody, if you haven't already, by the way, before I forget, you just like open up the premiere video in another tab. Just like right click on it. It's down in the description. Just right click, hit open a new tab, and have it ready. That way, YouTube will see that everybody really likes it. Maybe thumbs up it, and then everybody will jump over to it when it kicks off. All right, so let's go through a couple more questions and see what else people had. Let's see if people want to get paid. Let's see, what's this? Okay. Oh, this is interesting. So, hey Jason, I want to become a game developer, but I'm currently terrible at math. What can I do right now for college algebra so I can be a game developer? I wouldn't worry about it. I mean, the amount of math that you have to do you do have to do some math as a game developer, but if you can handle multiplication, addition, subtraction, fractions generally, that's 98% of the math that you'll be doing. Every now and then, you're gonna have to do more complex stuff that's hard. You may have to spend a day watching videos to understand exactly how to do it, how it works, but you'll be able to get through it. Most of the hard math stuff has already been done unless you wanna be like if you wanna be a graphics programmer, you're gonna have to get good at math. If you wanna be just a programmer in general, then math is not nearly a it's not a big part. It's much more about logic, understanding and organization than math. Math is, again, tiny part. There's a lot of math under the hood, but most of the complex math stuff has already been done and figured out. All right. Uh, yeah, I found an artist by finding YouTubers. Nice. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. If anybody else has any other questions too, go ahead and just drop them down in the chat. Like I said, we'll go for another 15 minutes and we'll jump over to that Premiere. Also, if you don't have the Premiere open, go ahead and open it up in a new tab and hit thumbs up so that it's ready. Let's see, what do we got here? This one, as a tool slash engine developer, what would build your resume? I was thinking the mandatory renderer and ray tracing implementation, a shader editor, etc. Um, yeah, those could definitely be good. I mean, it depends on where. Well, yeah, I mean, actually, as an engine developer, I think those are actually very good, very good options. Also, I would look at where it is that you actually want to work and what the projects are that you want to work on. Hold on, I got a call coming in. I will call you back, Chris. Um, so look at where it is you want to work and what it is you want to work on. If you actually want to be an engine developer, I mean, there aren't very many companies working on their own engines. You could work at with one of the big engines, or you could work at some of the game companies that have their own internal engines. And in those cases, I'm not sure what the best things are there because I am definitely not an engine developer. It, yeah, that's a little too math heavy for me too. But if that's what you're into, I would look into what I'm trying to think. I want to have somebody on to talk about this actually. I know somebody who is great at this and I want to have him on and talk to him about it too. Because if it's just for engine development stuff. Now for tools in general, pipeline type stuff, things for getting art into games faster is always important. Um, and then data stuff depending on the type of game that you want to work on. So if it's, like you want to work on Unity mobile games, building some tools and edit even as simple as editor tools to put content into the game and make it easier for your designers to build things can get you there or get you pushed there. Somebody saying buy GME. I got rid of all my GME. That stuff's too scary. Um, I don't know enough about the stock market. Let's see how to get money to make a game. I don't know about that either. I think that's a tough one. Let's see. Okay, here's a good one. So I want to ask about the possibility of 3D art and code together because I enjoy them both. That is awesome. It's certainly possible. There are people who are great artists and programmers. They're very, very rare. It's rare that you'll see somebody who does both and is good. If you like them both and you do them both well, then it can be super valuable. You get paid a lot more as a programmer, but if you go to like a technical art position where you're like a technical art lead, you're well, first, like you'll have a lot of direction and a lot of power and say on the game because you're kind of leading the art there. And when you have the code side and the art side together, it gets easier to get to that. But you'll also get paid a lot more too. Like technical art lead will get paid a whole lot more than in anyone almost anyone else's company. It's a good position to be at. So if you really like them both and you're good at them both, then cool, jump on it. But I would, for most people, recommend focusing on the one that you actually enjoy doing and are good at. Most people aren't good at both. Um, yeah, some people are though. I know a couple guys that are just freaking amazing at both. They generally prefer to code though. They're like really good programmers, but they're just amazing artists too. Or maybe I just think they're amazing artists because of, well, how terrible I am. You guys saw my art in the preview of the other video, I hope. Okay, what else we got here? All right. How do you balance work game development versus your personal game development on your own time? Do you have time to try to shoot for each week or goals you shoot for? Well, I mean, I think you just balance it by once you're done with your work game development time, switch over to the personal stuff and make sure that you've got it somewhat scheduled. Have some regular time that you're working. If you're not already, I mean, if you're constantly working on it already and it's nonstop and that's not an issue, whatever. But if you find it hard to find time for it, I would say schedule some time that's actually just like you're at work, where you're working on your personal game. It'll force you to kind of plan a little bit more too, and to figure out what it is you want to get done in a certain time frame before you start it. And I think that it's generally just a good idea. I did a whole video with Chris about this. He talked about building a game. He built an entire game over the process of a year, released it on Steam, and did it doing it in 2 hour sprints. 3 times a week. So he did 6 hours a week, built a game and released it from start to finish. Obviously, he did a lot of other things along the way, but not time-wise. So time-wise, he limited himself and just locked himself into that, and then, did a lot of the other things that we talk about all the time, like joining groups and showing his stuff off, getting constant feedback, releasing it, and just, having some accountability to kind of push him to move forward. Alright, what else we got here? Will your course be on Udemy or other platform? No, the courses I have are all just on my own page. I've looked at Udemy. I know some people who've used it, and it seems like I don't know. I just avoid all of those platforms and stuff. They seem kind of like I don't know. They're just not ideal. I like the flexibility of hosting my own stuff and I control whatever I want. But that's going to be it's still in like a month and a half. Actually, coming up soon. It's exciting. By the way, sorry, I got a message popping up. I'll read that in a minute. Let's see what else we got. Oh, what was I gonna say now? I lost my train of thought. Oh no, what have I done? Yeah, my head like a little robot light over my head. Finally got that thing working. Oh, I should show that thing sometime. My crazy robot thing. I wonder if anybody knows what that actually is. If you happen to know what that is, yeah, I'm just curious now. If you happen to know what this robot dude is, drop it in chat. 'Cause I'm just curious if anybody knows. I had no freaking idea when I saw it, so my wife knew. I'll look at what I think I'll take like one or two more questions real quick, and then get ready for the stream. Make sure that you've got that stream open in another tab, by the way. All right. So, as a software engineer, how can I break into the games industry as a programmer or tools engineer? Oh, just start applying, right? Especially for tools jobs, if there are tools positions open and you're already a software engineer, especially if you've got a little bit of web development and a little bit of Windows development under your belt, and you kind of understand them both, there are going to be a lot of openings and opportunities. There are a lot of tools in the game industry that are not even engine related that are needed. I mean, just like any other big company, like all of the big companies have software departments because they all need software, and it's not just game companies. Game companies need software that's not just the game stuff. They need all kinds of different tools for managing the users, the players, the content, and even sometimes internal company stuff. So there's a lot of tools development options out there. Just start applying for them. Not a lot of people apply for them. It's not something that people, I think to apply for and really look for, and they pay really well. I mean, they pay about the same as any other software engineering job, at least in my experience. Obviously, there's certain companies that don't pay well at all, and they're well known for not paying well at all because they're in super high demand. But on average, they pay, I'd say, about as well. All right, let's see. Do you use any .NET Core libraries? Nope, not yet. I would if I was doing a non-Unity stuff. What else we got here? Ah, okay. This is a good one too. Trying to get hired in the game industry as a programmer. I currently only use Unity. To achieve my goal, is it better to learn multiple engines or focus on one? It's best to focus on one, especially the one that you want to get hired to use. So if there's a company that you want to work at or a set of companies, then focus on the one that they're using because that's all that they're really going to care about. It is useful, I'd say, to try out other engines and get some experience with them so that you understand what the differences are and you kind of recognize it and you can navigate around. You don't need to be an expert or a pro in multiple. You want to really focus on getting really good at one and loosely having an understanding of another. You want to have kind of this T-shaped knowledge. I'll talk about it later, but essentially, You just want to, I'd say, focus on one, understand the others though. All right, let's see what else we got here. Ooh, interesting. So this one is on doing some freelance coding as a new programmer, essentially, or a new contractor or freelancer. So how can you give a little advice on how to calculate your coding worth as a freelance programmer? So I don't have a lot of advice for this, but I started out when I first did my first couple of contract jobs. I did them on a like a flat rate basis because I wasn't really sure. I couldn't figure out like what is a good rate. How long is this thing going to take me? I hadn't done it enough times to really get an idea. So I kind of calculated things out at like if this takes me a month, like what is an amount that is going to be okay, and then just increase that by a little bit so that way if things go terribly wrong and it takes me 2 months, that, it's not too terrible. And I just kind of estimated them out at a project level basis or like a project scale and more at like small subsets of projects too. I don't know how to figure out a great exact value until you've done that a couple times and kind of figured out how long it's going to take you to build things and to build it to the, like your customer or client's satisfaction. Um, because I mean that's all they really care about is the total cost and how long it takes. If they could get it for one some price and have it instantly, they'd pay that and have it instantly versus having some set amount per hour over an amount of time. They just care about the end result. So if you can focus on that, I think it can also help a lot on alleviating the concerns of people, especially if you have no experience with them. Be like, hey, we'll get the whole thing done. It'll cost this much. Just make sure that you you know, don't promise something that you're not going to be able to do for that price or where you're going to hate it and do a terrible job at that price. So just you got to kind of figure it out that on your own though on like what's a reasonable amount for you that you're going to be willing to do it. And if you're just starting out and like you've got the energy and time and the money is not a super important thing, then that's not a big deal either. Like if you undercut it, fine, increase the rates next time. But I guess well, I don't know. Sorry, I'm gonna shut up. All right, working on my personal MMO project. Is it a good idea to use WebSockets? No, it's going to be too slow. If it's at an actual MMO, like a real, like live MMO where things are happening nonstop, WebSockets will be fine until you start to scale up, and then it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and you're going to run into a lot of problems. I wouldn't generally recommend it. Usually, you want to set up your own UDP layer and network and stuff, and it's a lot of work, but again, it only really matters if you hit the scale too. So you could, if it works and it's and you've got it going and everything's good and you're building it and you get it done, cool. You can always change out the networking layer. Not that it's an easy thing to do, but you can swap out the networking layer and make it better. One thing I would hate to do is recommend people change things out and then the project never actually finishes and advances because it's way more important to get the project done than to make it optimal or fast. So get it done and then maybe make it faster. But I would say WebSockets in general, not the fastest option. I did a long video on networking with my buddy Kyle a couple months ago. I'd highly recommend watching it. He had a lot of advice and tips on MMO networking specifically. Let's see. I think I'm gonna look and see if there's anything else. I think we're just about out of questions. Well, actually, I know we're not out of questions. Just about out of time. I mean, let's see. Better to work for AAA company, make your own indie games. Oh, okay. Let's click on this one first. So I'm gonna take this last question, and then hopefully everybody will jump over to the premiere and join and watch me there. So this last one was: is it better to work for a AAA company or to make your own indie games? I'm a kid, so money equals no problem. Work for a company, either a AAA company or even an indie game company. If you can't get into a AAA company, work for another company first before you start your indie game company. It's a whole lot easier to make a company and succeed with a company if you've got the experience and seeing what it's like. One thing you could obviously fall into is the trap of like you want to make an indie company, but you go work somewhere and you never start your own thing. I wouldn't do that either. Like go work somewhere else, make contacts, meet people, and make sure that you don't give up the idea and the dream of creating your own indie games and start doing those while you're working at an indie company. You'll find people that you can work with there. You'll learn a lot of new stuff there while you're working at a company, and it'll make it a whole lot easier and a lot more likely that you'll get it done. Plus, That way you don't end up working some other job that you don't like and trying to do the indie thing on the side. Work in a game company and do the indie thing on the side if you can. The whole lot easier that way, and it'll pay well and you'll enjoy it. All right. Thanks again, everybody. I'm gonna stop now, jump over to the premiere in just a second. Let me find that video link, click on it, and make sure that it's actually playing. And okay, it's kicking off. It's got a countdown timer. I forgot about that. It's kicking off in 1 minute and 50 seconds. By the way, that one was sponsored by Millinode. I think I put a link down below. I like I've said before, I generally I don't really like talking like sponsor stuff. It feels kind of weird for me, but this thing is like, so freaking cool that I just love it, and I've been telling every one of my friends about it. Here, let me drop a. I'm gonna drop the link down below in chat real quick because I've been telling all of my friends about it, and they've all kind of jumped in and been giant fans of it too. There's a big giant fat. Oh god, that's a terrible link. But anyway, they've all kind of signed up for plans. Like so, the free plan will get you quite a bit of space. Like you get a lot of stuff with it. But if you start putting in a ton of boards, you want to upgrade. And like a couple of the guys that I've talked to already upgraded theirs, including me, because it is so freaking cool for laying out game architecture. And one of my other friends is doing like his SaaS product and all of his database designs and stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna show. It feels like an ad. This is definitely not an ad on that part. Oh, my link is broken. Awesome. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry, that was my fault. Let me fix that link. But yeah, I mean, this thing is just cool. It's my favorite. There we go. Fix the link. All right. Anyway, I'll see you over at the premiere in 30 seconds. I'm gonna end the stream now. Thanks again.